Last night at 7, we introduced you to Tina Conrad, also known as DJ Breast Cancer. Great name. Tina's mother is a 2-time breast cancer survivor. Tina herself is 10 years cancer-free. She told our reporter, Amelia Miles, about how important it is for women like her to share their stories, and says she never wants anyone to feel alone.
I started sharing my story on my podcast, but then I realized there's so many other stories, and so I had all kinds of guests. You know, a friend actually who works at Vera Bradley who was pregnant going through breast cancer, and I can't share that story. It's not my experience, so she shared her story.
It's so cool to hear, isn't it? Women from around the world tune into the DJ Breast Cancer podcast, and we're lucky right now to actually have her join us in studio. Tina Conrad, DJ Breast Cancer, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
How about that intro?
I know, it's great.
You're like a superstar, you know?
Hardly.
Tina, before we get into some of the great work that you do, the company you work for does, and your podcast, I want to first talk about the moment, that moment when a person gets told that they have breast cancer. Take us into that moment. What is that moment like for a person?
Yeah, I was actually at work at the time when I got the final diagnosis. It changes everything. It's like a line in the sand. There's a before point and an after point. And so it just stops you, and all your priorities shift. You know, everything changes. It's really hard, but I will say that there's definitely been some silver linings that have happened from it too.
For you and for your mother, how has it changed both of you?
I mean, my diagnosis was especially hard on my mom. She definitely took it very, very difficult. But then once we got through like that initial shock, we're just always a team. We always want to do more to help women. My mom is really good at talking with people locally, helping them. I just chose to do it maybe a little bit more globally than her. But we've always been very much advocates for helping women everywhere.
When you talk about a support system and how important a support system is, share that with us.
I think it's really important to let the help come to you. Many women, they're Wonder Woman, they're, career rock stars, and it's really humbling to allow yourself help. And so that's one of the pieces of advice I really give, is to allow the help to come to you. And then for anyone else who's, helping support someone through a breast cancer diagnosis or any, hard struggle, I would say too, don't ask them what you can do for them. Tell them, I'm going to do this for you. Because there's just so many questions and so much happening in their lives that they don't need another question. So just, whether it's raking leaves, showing up with a gift card, just do the things that you're thinking of doing, and they'll appreciate that.
It's things like that that mean so much to someone.
The little things are huge, let me tell you.
The podcast that you started, tell us about that, and why did you want to do that?
Yeah, there were, I wanted to share my story, and I felt like I had a unique perspective with my mom going through it and myself, and so I had a voice that I wanted to share. And I got through my story, and then I realized there's so many other stories that also need to be shared. And it's really been such a blessing and really a gift, to listen to these other survivors tell their stories. And then when they do, you can almost feel their load is a little lighter. They just relieve some of that, that tension that they have, and then they share, and it's a beautiful thing.
What's the most surprising feedback you've received about your podcast?
I mean, I've made new best friends. So I have a really great friend in New York that reached out to me and said, like, your podcast has really changed my life. And like, that's just really, heartwarming and great. And, to meet these people now, even in real life, is really awesome. So I've really introduced so many different, women across America, really.
The company you work for, very involved and a big supporter of this cause. Tell us about that.
Yes, so I'm really blessed to work for Vera Bradley. The month of October is a big deal. We obviously turned the town pink with the Vera Bradley Foundation, where each ribbon is really a signal of what, cancer touching someone. It's either a survivor or an honor of, and that really is research dollars at work. And so to be part of an organization that its culture is living and breathing breast cancer is really important.
And when we talk about advice you give to people, you've already been giving some great advice, but I know prevention is so key, early detection is so key. What are the 2 or 3 things that are most important for people to know?
Yeah, I definitely say, well, it's October, so if you don't know, get your mammograms. Early detection is very important. So I do stress, like, it's such a great reminder, and if it feels scary, take a girlfriend and have fun and make a date out of it. I also really like to stress, too, like, know your body, and if you see a change with it, that's a reason to have a conversation with your doctor. So just being in touch with, what's normal for you and what's not normal for you, and then, it can feel scary or overwhelming, but it's really great to have that medical advice and to seek it out as well.
And I know there are some great resources out there, not just your podcast, other things. Where else can people turn to for help?
Oh, there's so many, there's different hotlines. There's so many great resources, even locally. Francine Friends. I encourage people for their mammograms to check that out. Also, verabradley.org if you want to learn more, too, about the Vera Bradley Foundation and what they do for research. And then there's just great local support groups, too. There's so many podcasts, outside of mine, because sometimes just that friendly voice is really encouraging and can help you through tough times.
Tina Conrad, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you so much. And listen to her when she